Dr. Zaato, we've come to a point where, for example, if, one of our loyal viewers in Israel, Emmanuel Entry, says that the problem has become endemic, and it's not about NDC or NPP. It has to be kept. Otherwise, those who have good traits to become leaders will not be given the opportunity to occupy public office and political positions, and will go to the highest bidder. It's a canker. So whether it's NPP or NDC or UP or however it is, it's a problem, is that not it?
Thank you very much. And he's a very smart guy, and I like the point he's made. There's merit to what he's saying. But there's something that we must understand. Around February 3rd or 4th, a gentleman by name Fiifi Owusu made allegations of corruptions against state agencies. He made an allegation.
You've made the point.
I want to come. You see, when I come from that perspective, you understand that the kind of animal farm justice or injustice perpetrated in this country. He made allegations, mere allegations. He was picked up by state securities. As of this morning, even his own lawyers don't know where he is. Based on an allegation. I want to make that point clear. Kofi Nkrumah was picked up because he made an allegation of corruption against state agencies, against government officials. He could be referred to as a whistleblower, or at least it is an allegation he's made. I'm not saying that what he said was no. You picked him up.
You said you don't think what he said was...
No, he made an allegation. That allegation, he could potentially be a whistleblower. You picked him up, he doesn't know. 2, government appointees, 3 or 4 of them, because the people that contested the elections, about 3 of them are government appointees, agreed in this report read by the General Secretary of the party that, yes, they induce voters in an election. Which is a criminal act.
The report is...
They are rewarded. No, in return, they are rewarded. One of them is actually rewarded with a straight ticket to parliament. The other 2, government appointees, they are not facing any sanctions or possible at all. So I want just wherever you are sitting as a Ghanaian, think about it this way. You make an allegation, you are thrown into the gallows, you are thrown into a dark cell somewhere, nobody hears about you. People actually agree that they have actually used government money to induce voters. They are giving a red carpet to wherever they are going. And you call this justice in Ghana, and this is what you say we should emulate. This is what we are saying we should clap for the NDC for. This is what we are saying we should play for the government. And so when you see this out, when you see this kind of animal farm injustice, then you begin to ask yourself, where did we go wrong as Ghanaians? Is this the new independence you promised? Is this the reset you promised? Mere allegation is enough to throw you to jail, but you can do whatever you want. We can see you, can catch you on camera. We can see you. People came out to publicly say, you get a jail-free card. That is what we should copy. As early as the late 1990s and early 20s, Jerry John Rawlings, the founder of the NDC, was worried and complaining about what? Monitocracy in the NDC. He died with those lamentations. It's still happening now. But let's go back to something. There are 2. 1. What everybody is now worrying about is that, look, what happened in Ayawaso West Wogon, I can agree, like your friend said, that is the norm in Ghanaian politics. I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's the norm. Everybody knows that that is how these things are done. So that is why everybody was happy that there was this widespread condemnation of it with the party. That's why everybody was cheering for the presidency when they issued the statement. That's why everybody was cheering for the NDC when they issued the statement. That's why everybody was cheering for parliament when they issued the statement. And then something happened. There was an anti-climber quickly. Everything, all the outreach, all this toy in swoon. They toy in swoon because of one thing. Now you are telling us your constitution. When the presidency issued the statement, they didn't know the NDC constitution. When the president of the Republic of Ghana or his spokesman issued that statement, he didn't know that there was no annulment in the NDC constitution. He didn't know that. How many lawyers are in the Jubilee House? They didn't know that. 2, when the NDC itself issued a statement, they didn't know that. No, it's very important too, because when you are trying to fake, you are trying to mislead Ghanaians.
Dr. Zaato.
Yes.
The president and the presidency issued the statement on Baba Jamal.
Yes, calling for annulment.
Recalling.
Yeah, him. Yes.
And then
which is also actually an act of it's ingenious.
So is it not true that it was a decision made for an appointee?
Yes.
Not necessarily because he was a party person, and that the remit as to who takes disciplinary actions on a member of a political party serving in government, that really, by way of those provisions, lies with the executives.
Was he the only appointee? Now, you think about the chain of effects. The man is in Nigeria. He leaves Nigeria, comes to Ghana, says, I'm going to contest. Files to contest, is clear to contest. You don't withdraw him. Now, the man goes to win. You are now faking surprise at what he has done. Shouldn't you, wasn't that the best time? The moment the guy declares his intention to contest, wasn't that the best time to what? Recall him? The man wins now. You are not happy with his. But I'm making a point. Let me
the recall is not because he's contesting. The recall because
he won.
The recall is because they say that public opinion and based on available videos and then the responses by he himself.
Roland, the same public
does give a certain semblance of the fact that he seemed to say that I give out gifts.
The same thing. I'm saying that the same evidence you just mentioned.
The other contestants responding.
The same evidence that you mentioned also mentioned the other government appointees. At least 3 of them, that they all engage in such behavior. Why only Baba Jamal? But the second point, so those who issued the statement calling for the annulment of the election, didn't they know that in the NDC constitution there was no dissent? Why did they do that? So who were they lying to? Why were they faking? Why the fake? Why the fake pretense? Why the fake outrage? 2, you are talking about what? Time constraints. Again, the NDC, when they were planning their scheduling their primaries, didn't they take into consideration time? Because by that time they were primary, they knew when they were supposed to submit the candidate. Why did they send it that close then? And when they were doing that, why didn't they know? Didn't anybody tell them, hey, if we do this, it is the time to put it. When you were submitting, you came out with your committee. You gave the committee 2 days. At that time, didn't you know that there was a deadline? And finally, the outrage. For me, the biggest hypocrisy, the biggest outrage of this came from Parliament and the majority side and the statement they issued. Reading that statement is like listening to a priest preaching to you about morality and ethics in the brothel in Las Vegas. It's just so outrageous. How do we expect us to take it advice from you who went there, you who were in place in the system, you who went and monetized one of the candidates against the other, then all of a sudden you are faking outrage? How many of the men and women in the majority side of the parliament can say that they have never...
What do you mean by they went to monetize one of the candidates?
They went and gave money to one of the candidates.
But what was the donation for?
I don't know. Okay. But they were giving money on the eve to a primary.
Okay, but is the donation not as a contribution from the majority to a widow whose husband was their colleague?
You know they could have done that after the primaries, right?
They could have done what?
Made a donation after the primaries, right?
They could have done the donation.
They could have done that, right? You know, they could have also done it during the funeral, right? Like what most people do. You go and give money to somebody on the eve to elections. I'm not saying again, but all of a sudden the woman has $100,000, CDs. The woman is engaging in the primary. I mean, do the mass. So the point I'm making is that the fake outreach from the again and also from the majority leader and the majority side, they didn't know that the NDC constitution did not have any provision for annulling elections. So who were they deceiving? Why the fake outreach? And that is the point. That's where we've gotten to right now. That the person that you saw an opportunity that I thought you were going to do well, the NDC is now showing us that no. They prefer to put a electoral calculus over national interest. Because if they had actually gone, look, you know, the NDC could have decided that precisely because of these infractions, because of this, we will not contest the election. They could have done that. They could have said that because of this, we have been so scandalized by the actions and inactions of our members. We have been so wounded that we will take a moral stand and say that we will not contest this election. It will not affect their majority in parliament. That would have been a principal stand. That would have been telling to all Ghanaians and ladies that we didn't do this. But you didn't do that. You are now putting calculus, and so everything be damned. Corruption be damned. Election inducement be damned. Because we want to win elections, we are going to do this. And now, why did they do that? They did that because they are afraid of their shadow. Computer pointed to something that he thought they would have been seen. The NDC now thinks, look, if somebody who is in government for just 1 year, or people in government for 1 year can produce these copious amounts of money, if people out of government can bring this amount of resources, where we are told that almost every delegate was rewarded with about 10,000 cedis, pad, rice, oil, TV, in just 1 year, the MPs in parliament are freaking out. They are freaking out because they're asking themselves, do you know what will happen when in 2-3 years' time, there are primaries? Do you know what happened when the CEOs, deputy CEOs, and others and ministers with money come to challenge them? That is what is freaking them out. So, what NDC is doing is an exercise in self-preservation. It's not in the national interest. They didn't do it because they could do it. They did it because they couldn't get away with it. They were caught on cameras with it. They were caught with their pants down and their hands in the jar. They did that because they didn't have any moral principles to stand on. They faked the outrage, and that is why we are here today.
So, what do you make of all this? Because it also means that with the monetization, with the United Party not having money, you cannot penetrate. It will only be MPP and NDC.
Even if we will not give anybody a dime. I keep saying that if it is because of money that I will never go to parliament, like I will stay in my house. Why must I go and pay somebody to be a member of parliament? To say. But you see, this morning, I am very surprised with what Zaato has done. I thought you could take a cue from what the tester said from Israel. Perfect. You put the issues in a national context and discuss it, because the MPP and the NDC are both guilty. And in fact, if we are going to go into details of it, the MPP is worse. As a matter of fact, if I were going to take
I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
Worse when it comes to they just finished the internal primaries, presidential primaries. They did it on the 31st of January. You heard the various tapes. Brian gave 700 cities. If you multiply by the 196,442 people that took part, it means on election day alone, Brian expended 137 million. We are told that Baumia expended 500, which these figures are even conservative. And they came to tell it. They have not denied it. And for Zaato, 11 days after that, to come and sit here and create an impression as though he is just coming from somewhere to Ghana and has just come to meet this news.
You can't say that he's paying sanctimonious.
It insults the integrity of our viewers. So at best, he could have behaved in a nationalistic manner. You were in this country last year, 2024, April. In fact, you conducted that interview here. We sat on this table when there was a by-election in Ayawaso. You remember that by-election? You remember Dr. Nyaku, the Kwadaso MP?
Yes, the member of Parliament.
As for him, he moved from Kwadaso, went past Bantima, went past Oforukrom, went past Tech Judge, and went to what was the name? Ayawaso, and bribed electoral officers. Pudio, you know Pudio?
He says it was for lunch.
Jesus Christ. Why is it that today he's not going there to give them lunch? Today, the people are still there. He's not going back to give them lunch. And you have Zaato, who is in the known as to what has happened. In that by-election, they gave residents weed in Tampe, these people, and added 100 cities to it. Look, weed in Tampe, what's the other name? Igbo, Bolua. They call it Bolua. They gave it to them, including women. They were given to women and added 100 cities. The New Patriotic Party did that. All because they wanted to win against Aduomi. Remember, Aduomi was contested as an independent and he nearly won that election. Look, the super delegates elections in 2023. That's how come we left the MPP.
Okay, the one conducted before the main...
Yes. They paid 200,000, 100,000 just to disgrace Mr. Alan Chamate. So what are we talking about here?
The one that triggered Alan leaving.
Absolutely. So this is a national matter that we must treat it in the national context. How many times haven't I come here and told you that monetization of politics will destroy this country? You understand? Now you narrow it to Baba Jamal. Yesterday I was watching the news item. I saw my brother standing behind. He wasn't happy. If you look at the facial expression.
So look.
I saw you. I observed the body language. Go and check the body language, the facial expression of Barbara Samoa, the Deputy General Secretary. She wasn't happy. What about Akugan? He couldn't even hold himself. The General Secretary himself was not happy. At a point, he wanted to stammer. That is not how Fiifi Kwetey speaks. Because this is not good news for a political party that has taken off. It's a bad news since Saturday. If they care to know, their brand has been fractured. That is how come between Saturday and Sunday, a lot of statements will be issued left, right, center, just to try to reassure the people of this country.
What's your point with this?
The point I'm making is that what Baba Jamal, together with the Haji Amina and the rest have done is to bring our body politics into disrepute. And I disagree entirely with the reasons that have been assigned by the National Democratic Congress that it is the reason why Baba Jamal must go. Baba Jamal's situation is just like the Pandai MP who has been asked to go back to Parliament. The same thing.
Why?
The NDC is telling us that, yes, you bribed your way. You paid. That is the conclusion of the committee. However, because of time constraint and because of legalities, and the legalities I disagree, because every constitution is subservient to the Constitution of Ghana. Every act or law is subservient to the Constitution of Ghana. We have a lot of laws in this country that deals with bribery. If you read the People's Representative Act 284, it talks about bribery. And in fact, if 33, and even when you go to 34, it talks about if you give meat and drink, Koscielny Meko, they did not give Koscielny Meko. It falls under 34. So for the party to come and tell us that there is no law to buy him, it's just disingenuous. You understand? It is not fair. We are building a system. We are building a future for our country. We are building democracy. There's a coming events cast their own shadows. That it means the parliamentary primaries that are ahead of them and the presidential primaries is going to be money, money, money. Now, where is the money going to come from? Now, is it even fair to the teeming millions of people that voted for the NDC who are yet to even receive matches from them? That you are organizing an election, you are giving 32-inch. Now the people call him Banasco, Baba Nasco. Hey,
they call who Banasco?
These Gen Zs, they call Baba Jamal Banasco.
What is that? What does that mean?
They say Baba Jamal and Nasco TV, Banasco.
Oh, okay.
And like someone other General Banasco. Hey.
Like an acronym.
Hey.
Yes, Dr. Zaato and Solomon Owusu, Honorable, Omo Akasa, Sa Honorables Menu Wedia, Omo HSC ya. Na sisi ya no politicians jidi ayewo ewo mu no eye akofom ohun se obi a o yeti mamuni ade ketuwa bi o akwakoye nti mene wo ekase order prison what you say but se ekoba se politician bi ekoye boni a onu an nkrofo omu ni kwanyon befa so na o modwitwa age no ensem yi a ekoso the way NDC for is sorry ye se Baba Jamal krasa elections no omu etwam avideo mu ko ba ya almost because of time and a D and and when this is here you got to Baba Jamal ne swaba so to me a near or co parliament na 2028 a DMB and na obeye or more can serve or more committee or more him and now going forward no or more constituency elections branch elections any national elections muni na no they just want to avoid these things happening and unti or multi committee and pass 7 and more quite Bibia infrimu emma. Politicians will continue to be politicians. It means Mema Mikasa and yet tintin. Also, a similar SC, I don't tell everyone to say. Messer or several comment section on watch the like you be a shame on you, no on so when you be. Unya and subscribe, a message of subscribe. But I was say, no, it be shame to see the macro. Bye bye.